Hey guys, hope you're all well. Right, starting off in the van this morning. So it's Monday morning and first job is off to the powder coaters to drop the cabinet for the compressor off. That gets that out of the way. When I get back, I'm going to start the day with a little job on a friend's bike. So we've been messing with this bike over the weekend, and I'm hoping stuff will be here for the GS today as well, like the wiring plugs. I'm desperate for them, so hopefully they will be here today. But while I'm waiting, I'm going to continue with this little job on a friend's bike. So we've made, well, he made the speedo bracket for it, dash panel, whatever you want to call it. It's got a really posh dash for it. I'll show you when I get back. And I started doing the headlight bracket. So it's the headlight bracket's a bit different because he didn't want anything that was bolted to the fork legs. It's got upside down forks in it, so we're sort of coming off the top and bottom yoke, and it's having twin headlights on it from a Triumph. So I've been trying to sort of design and make a bracket that you sort of can't really see, but you can, obviously it holds the lights, if you know what I mean. I'll show you when I get back. I've started it, so I'm going to finish that this morning. He's at his place of work. I'm waiting for bits for the GS, so I might as well get it done for him. Right, back in the shed at last. So yeah, while I'm waiting for the few bits to come on the GS, and my mate is at his place of work, I'm going to continue with his headlight bracket that I started yesterday. So he's done the clock bracket, which is about there. We're just going to paint that black because you can't really see that when this fancy little dashboard goes on there, which I'll show you in a mo. So the headlights are twin lights. He likes the old 90s Street Fighter look. So he's gone with the twin lights off a Triumph. I think it's Speed Triple, maybe. I may have that wrong, I don't know. But he's found some headlights which are literally brand new and in boxes, so we're going to use them. So the brackets, he didn't want to clamp to the fork legs. He wanted to do something off the bottom yoke, top yoke or whatever. So we've been coming up with ideas for that, and we're well on the way with one. So yesterday I started with the good old cardboard template. You're probably thinking, how's that going to be an headlight bracket? So when this is done, you won't actually see much of it really when the headlights go on. So all these little lines here are where my folds are, and that's going between the top and bottom yoke. So let's show you where I am so far. So there we go. As you can see, it's exactly to the cardboard template that I cut out. So this bolts up, goes right under there and bolts up with the risers underneath. This top yoke's solid, there's no webbing under there, so it sandwiches in under there with the bolts nicely. And then it bolts down here, I don't know if you can just about see that, with one bolt at the bottom, and that is solid. So what I've got to do next, it's sort of evolving now as we go along. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to put some sides in there, and then at least we can actually hide some of the wires behind there. I'm actually going to bolt something to it. I'll show you in a minute. It's going to work, definitely going to work, and it's going to look all right and actually make the job quite easy. So yeah, it'd be nice. He's got to go all through his wiring to use this fancy dashboard that he's got. So some of these plugs will be reduced. He'll have some plug changes, I guess, to match up with the fancy dashboard he's got. So it shouldn't be such a bulk of wiring to hide, but that's not my job. I've got enough wires going in my head with the GS there sitting under the cover, so I'm not going to get involved in the wiring side of this bike, just the fabrication side. But yeah, on here, let me get this, it may have to need trimming. This is a riser off a BMW, I think, if I remember right, an R80 or something like that. So this, along with the back there, is going to bolt here, so it'll actually look nice and neat. Then we've got a piece of round bar that will clamp up in that. It's literally going to be really short. So these Triumph headlights that are going on it are actually side mounted. It's got mounts on them and it looks like they'll be bottom mounted, just like a single mount, but they're actually side mounted. I guess those of you who are Triumph will know what I mean. So yeah, we've got to figure that bit out, but I think this little idea is going to do it. Well, what I'm going to do first is get this back off the bike, get the sides in. We also was going to try and hide the ignition in there. I don't know how that's going to go. The ignition switch is actually extremely bulky. I don't know if we can actually reduce that. He's coming round later, so we'll take a look at that, see if we can do something about it. But in the meantime, I'm going to get this on, the sides on, and start figuring out the actual bracket that holds the headlights. So here's the bracket so far. They're the two that go up under the handlebar risers. Then it steps down, then comes out from under the top yoke. Then that folds back and goes to the single fixing on the bottom yoke. So what I want to do is fill these sides in. Now at least we can hide some of the wiring behind here. So hopefully, in my little offcuts, I'll be able to get at least one side out of them. Yeah, I'll get one out of that. So I'll cut them out and then we'll get them welded in and go from there with mounting this. I may have to cut that down yet because we want to get the headlights as close into the bike as possible. We don't want them sticking right out. Right, that's got them cut out, 1 and 2. So I'll chamfer the edge of the plate. That's going to drop into the side there. I'll weld it all the way round and then dress it all back. So it should look nice and neat. I'll get both of them done and then we'll work on the bit that's going to hold the bar for the headlights themselves. Right, let's get them on. Okay, that's the sides on. That's looking okay. You might get different shadows on here, making it look wonky. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it comes out in the footage. But it is very straight. Anyway, that's the sides on. Which it's going to add strength. It's going to make it look a lot better. And also, it's hard to explain. Obviously, the idea is to put this like riser on. It may have to be shortened quite a bit so it doesn't stick out so much. But sort of the idea of that's sort of tapered down. This is sort of tapered down as well, so it isn't going to look amiss there at all. Plus, you're barely going to see it. It's got great big chrome headlights going on there. So yeah, also with them sides on, we can hide a bit of wiring in there as well. We was going to try and think of putting the ignition key into this as well, but I'm not sure if that's going to work. So the ignition key is quite a bulky item, and it's on the base of it. It's got the bit that would normally do your steering lock. He's doing away with all that. It's, you know, it's his bike. So I'm thinking when he comes later, if he could pop that ignition apart, if we can get rid of the steering lock part of the base of it, we may be able to do an additional part on this for the ignition key. Unsure yet. I'm just going to get on with this bit. So I'm going to drill the holes to get this on. That'll also be good because it'd be bolted from the back, and we can put P-clips on there as well to basically hold all the wiring in there. So it'll have, yeah, it's alright, I'm thinking. I can't multitask. Trying to think and explain of what I'm doing, and I'll probably change my mind as well several times. We don't know. I don't even know. I never know what I'm doing. I'm winging it. So yeah, I'm going to drill them holes next and then figure out the bar that holds the actual lights on, which is only going to be probably that long. It's fairly short. This wind is horrific, by the way, out there. I am cringing every time there's a real strong gust of wind, because this shed is moving. And yeah, I know, I've got a few leaks. When it's really windy, where the felt overlaps, it just pushes the water up. Really, I need to break all the joins open and put probably some roofing tar between them, but ain't no way I'm getting up there in this weather. So it's just going to have to leak for now. Although it has been leaking for a while when it's really windy and raining. Anyway, back to this. Concentrate. Yeah. Hopefully. I think it's going to look alright. It's certainly different. Like I say, the reason for this, he did not want to put clamps on his forks. So this is definitely going to work. Anyway, let's get some holes popped in it, get this on, and start working out the actual bar that's going to hold the headlights. Right, start picking away in that empty head of mine, see what we're going to do. Right, moving forward slightly, I got all that marked out and the holes drilled. I've just found these out for now, just temporary bolts. One's longer than the other, but we'll sort some better ones out when we build it properly. Let's see if I got my holes right. Oh, it's going to go that way. Please line up. Oh yes, that lines up, that does. Right, we'll just nip that up for now, because we may have to shorten the block, the actual riser block. There we go. It's straight. I'm looking in that screen now and that actually looks wonky. Oh dear. Amazing. So I can make it look straight. Right, next I've got to figure out the little bar that's going to go in there. It literally is going to be really short, obviously round to clamp up in this, and then we've got to put square blocks on the end to fit the headlight brackets. We want the headlights quite close together. Don't want them spread wide apart or too high, too low. So I've got to figure out how we're going to make that bit. Can you hear that wind? Or carry on as long as we got a roof on the shed. That's the last thing I want. For it to blow off, not to have a roof on the shed. We'll be glad when that storm's gone. Right. Let's start racking my brains, see what I'm going to do here then. Like I say, it's got to be a piece of round bar. Possibly I'll sacrifice some old handlebars, because then I know the round bit's the correct size. Then we've got to get square blocks on the end for the headlights to bolt through. I'm going to do the usual thing, have a cup of tea and think about it. Okay, you'll probably see what I mean now. So, although the lens is actually upside down on that one, so you see the little clamps at the top, because we have been messing about with them. Right, so you probably see what I mean. You'd probably take the first glance at them and think they're bottom mount, but no, they actually fit like so, which is good for this actually. So we're going to get these as close together as possible without giving them the chance to collide and touch. And we'll have adjustment in every direction doing it like this. So as you can see, the bit I'm making now is barely going to be seen really, especially when it's painted black. With the whole bike being black, it's going to blend in and sort of get lost, which ain't, you know, ain't a bad thing really. So yeah, the round bit that's going to come through that little riser that we're using is going to be extremely short. Right, I'm going to get these back in their box because they are brand new and I really don't like handling them with how clumsy I am. So it was at this point that some idiot forgot to turn the receiver on for the microphone. I've no idea who that was, but shed gremlins, they're terrible. Anyway, as you can see, I turned this down out of a bit of alloy on the wobbly lathe. Got the centre part all done for where it clamps to the handlebar riser that we're actually using on this. So what I'm doing now is laying tape on each side to give me a guide to where to grind to, because obviously we've got to get flats onto the end where the headlights bolt to. So this was quite a careful process because I didn't want to get them sort of off from each other, because a tiny bit at the bracket will be quite a lot when it gets to the headlight, if you know what I mean. We didn't want one sort of facing down and one facing up, so that took a bit of careful doing just to get it all ground and filed so the headlights were perfectly aligned. So yeah, it's turning out all right at this point, I think. Anyway, after this I finally realised that my sound wasn't turned on, so on with the next bit. I think that's looking all right. It's a bit different. I don't think I've seen a headlight bracket like that before, but there you go. Might not be everyone's cup of tea, but it's definitely going to do the job that we want it to do. So obviously the main thing were he didn't want to bolt the headlights on the normal brackets, you see, that sort of clamp the fork tubes. So yeah, I think it's going to take care of a few things. All I want to do now, I'm going to get it all on the bike next, and there's going to be some holes drilled in these side plates with a grommet, and we'll literally, it lines up quite well actually. The wires will just come straight out the headlight bowl and straight into there, so we'll only see a very short pass of wire. So that's going to work all right. So the next, I wouldn't call it a problem, the next thing we've got to solve is where the ignition key is going. Obviously there's nowhere to put it on the yokes that are on the bike now, so obviously we'll have a look. It's got that big beefy front end in there, and he doesn't want to like spoil the lines of that. And obviously there's a budget level involved with this bike as well as every build, so he's going to try and do the best to keep the ignition. Let's have a look, let me show you. I mean, I don't know, I have never had one of these apart before. I've had a Suzuki ones apart. Can't ever recall having a Yamaha one apart. So you've got the main ignition body there, which is up to sort of that bit. And then this bit is the mechanism to throw the bolt out into the steering lock. So we can get it to do it, which is no longer needed. Now I know there's people saying it's extra security, insurances might have a bit of a grumble at that and things like that. I'm afraid custom bikes, it's a minefield of do's and don'ts and you shouldn'ts. It really is, but we tend to just ignore them and get on with how we want the bikes doing, to be fair. So when he comes later this evening, I'm probably going to see if he wants to strip this, see if we can make a different base for it and get rid of that part. If that part's gone, we could probably fit it behind this and maybe just have the edge of the barrel, the ignition barrel showing here, so we can just stick a key. Yes, it might be a bit fiddly to get to, but you turn it when you go to start your bike, and then you turn it off when you're finished riding your bike. It isn't like you've been there every 5 seconds. So if it's a tiny little bit fiddly to get into, it's no big issue, I don't think. And obviously the decision's not down to me anyway, so I'm going to leave that till he pops in later. Anyway, I'm going to get this on the bike and see what it's looking like, and at least drill the holes in the side for the wires to go in. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with that actually. We've sort of repurposed BMW handlebar riser, and I think it's looks all right. Anyway, let me get out on the bike. Yeah, nearly there. So I mean, these wires coming directly from behind the mounting point will literally go straight into these side panels that we put on earlier, and that's going to keep this really neat. Now I know that headlight's on upside down, well, the lens is, so I think he was messing about with the lenses yesterday to see if we could turn them to have them bottom mounted, but then we decided it's going to be fine keeping them side mount. So we will change that lens around. I have to allow for how observant you lot are. Right, let's get a nut on that. So with this, we've literally got adjustment in every direction. Obviously we've got that adjustment, so we can have it cross-eyed if need be. And with it being in that riser, we've got that adjustment. Yeah, I think that's all right. Let's nip them up. There we go, and then we'll just tighten that bracket at the back, and then that'll squeeze them up that way. Sorted. So, moving on a bit with this. This is actually the following morning. It's about 4 or 5 a.m. or whatever it is. So yeah, my friend come last night. We had a good chat about things and changes and stuff. As I done, I put a little pop-up on the bottom of the screen. We have scrapped the idea with the ignition. He has now ordered a small ignition. So we've got more choices of where that can go without chopping and changing too much on the bike. As this bike is his sort of go-to bike, the one that we're just preparing to have a bit of fun on in the summer, is building another bike, a real high-end build. It's got some seriously nice parts on it, so he doesn't want to throw too much at this bike, although he really struggles to contain himself, to be honest with you, with posh parts. But maybe one day we'll catch up with his other bike. It's got some real nice bits on there, the front end, the wheels. It's really smart. But yeah, I'll maybe get a bit of that on at some point. So I think we're going in the right direction with where we want this. And like I say, it was just a few changes he wanted to do, and it will be back on the road very soon. So yeah, I think the headlight brackets worked out all right. This is all going to be painted black, everything, so it will sort of disappear, but it's doing the job. And he's very pleased with it, which is the main thing. That's all that matters. I think he's getting some new switches. This is going to be changed because it's obviously on a bit of a slant with how it is on the bars, so he's getting new ones with the little pots on, so all that will be sound. He's rising up the risers a bit more because it's a bit close to the fork tops and they're a bit down, so with the risers length increase, we'll be able to bring the forks up in the yokes. And yeah, I'm quite pleased with it actually. He's going to take over the rest. We've got the little speedo bracket. I'll show you the speedo in a moment. That's been done because you're not really going to see it. It's just there to do a job, made as simple as possible, because obviously the posh dashboard's going to be there, which is over here. Race technology. Scares me handling this thing. Yeah, so that's going to look quite smart on the bike. And obviously he's going to wire it all in. I'm certainly not going to do that. So yeah, that'll be bolted onto there. Yeah, it's going to look all right. Oh, I think so. It'd be nice to see it lit up, see what it's like. Yeah, very posh. put that back in there, out of my way. Yeah, I'll drop that back in the box in a moment and put it well out of my way. But yeah, it's looking all right. It is. I think he wants to change the seat at some point or get a new cover. He's not a big fan of this at all. So if anybody's got a nice XJR seat, standard, who likes that one and wants to do a swap, give me a shout. Or else that cover's coming off and he's going to replace it with something else. Because I know some people may like that, but he doesn't like it. But yeah, and he's also going to change the pipes. Yeah, so he's probably going a bit over the top, really. But there you go, at least he'll get a bike that he enjoys riding through the summer and he'll be happy with it. And it'll look all right. And I went with him around Europe on this and it runs beautifully, it doesn't miss a beat. So hopefully we'll get another good summer out of it this year. Looking forward to that. So there we go. All sorted. So that'll do. Hopefully I'll have some bits turning up for the GS and I can continue with that. In fact, I have had some bits turn up for the GS. What have I had? The cables. I've bought a throttle cable kit to make all the cables nice so they fit and they're all the correct length. So I will be doing that next. Anyway, cheers for watching, guys. Take care.